Okay, calm down.
Let's talk about the elections, which are, I think, on everyone's minds. What happened? Easy question.
Well, part of it was I think what happened was actually, well, it was expected. I mean, if you pay attention to Israeli politics, it was obvious that the children had their day to play, and now daddy's back. You know, it was kind of some kind of a misunderstanding. You know, daddy was pushed away for a little bit, and now he's back. The real politician, the real king is back, and that's Netanyahu. None of these, I don't know if anybody even remembers who the names of the two prime ministers that were prime ministers of Israel the last year or two were, but
Lapid,
yeah,
Bennett.
Lapid and Bennett, yeah. They will be forgotten. Nobody's going to remember them. But Netanyahu is back. It was obvious that he was going to come back. He's the only guy he's the only politician that's really respected. I think since Ariel Sharon, the next big name is Benjamin Netanyahu. But what's really problematic is more even than his return is the fact that he owes his return to the people who are disciples of a racist thug by the name of Meir Kahane. And some of you may remember they call him Rabbi. I think it's terrible to call him a rabbi. But Meir Kahane was the founder of the JDL, the Jewish Defense League, which is now recognized as a terrorist organization by the FBI. He had a platform that called for the forced transfer of Arabs from Palestine, for creating separate beaches and schools and towns and communities for Israelis, for Jews only, and that sort of thing. Now, some of that has already happened without him, but still, he was actually elected to the Knesset in 1984. And but nobody would even dream of allowing him to be part of a government, of giving him a seat at the table. You know, even it was a right-wing government at the time in the 80s, but still nobody would even come close to him in the Knesset. Now, his actual students, his actual disciples, not just ideologically, certainly ideologically, but actual people who learned from him, who worked with him, they are the third largest bloc in the House, in the chamber, in the Israeli Knesset. And they are Netanyahu's ticket back to power. Because with them, and a few other smaller parties, he has a very comfortable majority. And they are going to demand, and they were going to get, a seat at the table in the biggest way. They're going to get the most important portfolios. They're going to be part of the defense apparatus. They're going to be part of the internal security apparatus. They're going to be sitting in some of the choicest positions within the Israeli government, and that is dangerous. Now, certainly none of these guys killed as many Palestinians as Netanyahu or some of these other people who were in government before this. But they are going to I think Palestinians are going to look back at this past year, which was a record number of Palestinians being killed, as the good old days, when these guys are in power. People are going to look back at what we've seen so far, which is absolutely horrifying, as the good old days. Because not only are these people now in key positions, which means life for Palestinians is going to be much, much worse, their base is empowered. Their base, these thugs, these racist, militant, armed thugs that are swarming the entire country, they're not only in the West Bank, they're everywhere. And they're never held accountable anyway, but now they're empowered. They're going to be out there much, much more. And it also shows that they actually have a lot more support within Israeli society, the elements of Israeli society that you wouldn't associate with them normally, kind of they're called the settlers, that you wouldn't normally associate with them, but they have very, very broad support. Otherwise, they would not have been able to get as many seats in the Knesset as they did. So that is really, really, really worrisome. That is where we should be concerned about, and that is why I've been saying, and I say over and over again, the biggest piece that's missing from the conversation on Palestine is there are no guarantees for the safety and security of Palestinians. There are no mechanisms. Palestinians don't have an army. They don't have a military force. They've got a few groups here and there with guns and a handful of bullets. Who is going to protect Palestinians? Who is going to defend Palestinians? Nobody. There's nobody there to defend them. There's nobody there to protect them. And I mean physically, because physically their lives, of course, have always been in danger, but now it's going to be a much, much worse, much, much more dangerous. The imminent danger for the lives and the safety of Palestinians has to be, as people of conscience, this has to be our most important concern right now. Because what we are going to see coming forward, like I said, moving forward, is going to make this last year look like the good old days. It's that bad. It's that serious.